CBS presents this program in color.
Hold it. I think you're going to like this picture.
I'm ready. Let's go. Come on.
Ready? Go.
Lots to do today. What's your beef in about 15 minutes? Lots of Cubs and Sox and Blackhawks. Text questions, your emails, your texts. Powered by U.S. Cellular. Wah, 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 wah. How you doing, everybody? Murph with you from now until 2 o'clock. Lots to do on a busy Tuesday. About 15, 20 minutes away from What's Your Beef? Start thinking now your sports beefs. I'll open up the phones after Stat of the Week with John DeWan in a few minutes. And your beefs, well, the best beefs from you. Win the best beefs in town. I'll send you over to Brown's. You know, it tastes better. Lunch and beefs at Brown's. Let's see. Sox and Cubs, I have fresh angles. I have lots of angles. Jay Zawoski will swing by from all the way over there across the glass. Hello, Jay. And talk a little Blackhawk hockey. And, as always, the Murph Show driven to you by ChevyDriveChicago.com. But let's get inside the numbers.
Numbers are like your brother-in-law. They lie if they need to.
Numbers don't lie. Well, maybe they do.
John DeWan's Stat of the Week.
Yeah, those numbers are a little screwed, too, because skewed rather than screwed.
Numbers, unlike children, don't lie.
Numbers in baseball can be the most misleading things in the game.
Not a stat guy. Save that for John DeWan.
John DeWan, Murph has made famous over the years.
Celebrity line ring, and let's go punch it up. Welcome to the machine. Let's bring in John DeWan from BaseballInfoSolutions.com and StatOfTheWeek.com. Hello, John.
Murph, here's a number that lied. 25 big runs for Chicago teams yesterday, but we only went 1-1.
Well, you know what? It helps when either, if you're a team, if you're scoring runs, that your pitching is there, or if your pitching's there, you like to have a little bit of both, not, as the Cubs and Sox have seen, give up 20, score 1, score 17, give up 3. The Sox have been on both ends in the last week. The Cubs go 6-7 games, as you know, John, on the road trip where they had great starting pitching, very good pitching, couldn't score a run. Last night they get their 7-8, they get their 8 runs, and they can't hold the other team down.
Yeah, the previous 6 games, the Cubs scored a total of 5 runs.
Unbelievable.
Ouch.
Hey, fancy out of John DeWan, 18 years with Murph. Visit him at StatOfTheWeek.com, the great publications, Fielding Bible, the Bill James Handbook, and much, much more. John, I know you've got a full platter, as you always do, but first thing, pull up there on your little computer or pull up the old newspaper if you can find real quick, and I know you can do this, the standings this morning for the National League Central. That would be the Cubs, and the American League Central. That would be the White Sox.
Okay, both teams are in fourth place. There it is.
Okay, both teams are in fourth place. Now, how many games back? Here's where we get the thing in the paper that's called GB. Games behind. It's been there forever. The first place team has the little 3 dots, the ellipses, because they're not behind anybody, right? Now, the second, let's look at this real quick, John DeWan. The White Sox are how many games back in fourth place behind Detroit?
All right, 5.5 games for the White Sox behind the Detroit Tigers.
And they would be under that category GB, games behind that we've all seen since we were little kids, right?
Yep.
5.5. Now, the Chicago Cubs
only 5 games behind. A whole half game better than the White Sox.
And they're in fourth place also.
But then they're in fourth place.
So the average fan would be very correct and on solid ground to say, well, the Cubs are closer to first place, 5 back in fourth, than the White Sox, who are 5.5 back and forth. That'd be a true statement generally, right?
That would generally be true. However, Murph,
yeah?
I think you have an idea that I know where you're going. Go for it.
Well, a few years ago I ran this past you, and you seemed to not disagree with me, which made me feel good, that there should be another column added to the 25-year-old standings. We see GB, games behind, and then next to that TGB.
Absolutely.
Total games behind.
I absolutely agree with you. I think that's excellent. Go ahead.
Here's the problem. The Cubs are 5 games back of Milwaukee. Second place, St. Louis, 1 out. The Cubs are 4 behind them. I'm going to say 5 plus 4 They're 9 back, and the Cubs are also 2.5 behind third-place Cincinnati. So I'm going to add these up, 5, 2. The Cubs are right now, the way I look at total games behind, 11.5 games behind.
I think that's a very good way to look at it, Murph. They got to pass all 3 teams to get to first.
In other words, let's say all 3 teams were tied for first this morning. Let's say the Brewers, the Cardinals, and the Reds were all tied for first, and the Cubs were 5 games back in fourth. Would they really be able in 5 games to catch up to all 3 of those teams? In other words, you can win 5 in a row, but all 3 of those teams would therefore have to lose 5 in a row, right?
Right.
And what are the odds of that happening?
Not too likely, Murph. Not too likely.
And what if they played each other in the unbalanced Central Division where you play each other almost all the time, somebody?
Those 2 teams wouldn't be able to lose all of them, right? If 2 of those teams faced each other.
So when you hear the experts say, well, you know what, the Cubs are 5 back, Sox are 5.5 back, really, it's a lot more than that, but the Sox are closer. Why? Because the Royals and Minnesota, 3.5 backs. So the point is, John, you must get into second place before the game behind is accurate. Would you agree that's the best way to maybe phrase it?
I agree. And the total games back for the Cubs, 11.5. For the White Sox, it's
I got them at about 8.
Yep, so they are actually closer to first.
Much closer. All right, John, statoftheweek.com. What do you have for us today, my friend?
Well, we were talking about scoring, and I wanted to give you a little update in scoring. As you know, the Cubs had a really bad stretch lately, and White Sox 17 runs, but that was an anomaly on the season. And but in fact, in baseball this year, scoring is up. If you project out to the end of the season,
really,
the average team will score about 25 more runs than they did last year.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, the last 2-3 years, it's been dramatically dropping total runs at the end of the year, and a lot of people say, and probably true, because of taking the steroids out of the hitter's bat muscle.
Well, that could very well be, but remember, pitchers, there are a few pitchers who are accused of steroids as well. But in any event, the Dodgers, they're on pace to score over 200 more runs this year than last. Tampa Bay Rays, over 150 runs more. So those are the 2 highest scoring teams so far this year. Now, the Mariners are on pace to score. They weren't very good last year, and they're even worse this year. They're on pace to score 69 fewer runs, and that's the 3rd worst in baseball. There are 2 teams who each are on pace to score, well, one is to score 120 fewer runs, and the other is to score 134 fewer runs than last year. You want to take a wild guess as to which teams these are?
Well, I'm sitting here at NBC Towers, the CBS studios, John, and we're not far from Madison Street, which divides north and south. Are you telling me I'm about 35, 36 blocks from one side to the other from both these teams?
You are, Murph. No! You are. Ouch. I mean, the Mariners, 69 runs fewer on pace this year. The Cubs, 120 fewer runs. Of course, they were the highest scoring team in the National League last year, but this year they're on pace to score 120 fewer runs. And the White Sox, despite 17 runs last night, they're on pace to score 134 fewer runs than last year.
Well, then that brings up a great quote from our guy Elliot Harris in the Sun-Times, the Quick Hits today. He says, how about this? How about the Cubs and Sox make a big trade? Cubs hitting coach Gerald Perry to the White Sox for hitting coach Greg Walker.
It can't hurt, Murph. It can't get worse than this. You cannot get worse than the offense that we've had on both the north and the south side. It will get better. I don't think these numbers are going to hold, but because I think both teams are going to score more runs. And but it's been pathetic.
It's Murph with John DeWan. By the way, we're just about 5-10 minutes away from What's Your Beef? Start getting your sports beefs in mind. Best beefs from you. I'll send you to the best beefs for lunch in Chicago over at Browns. Now, there was a little note the other day that Lou Piniella, and I've forwarded this to you if you hadn't seen it, John. I know you'd love to talk because you're the fielding Bible guy, but Lou Piniella, I don't know if there was panic setting in or if he'd maybe had a cold one after the game or whatever, but he said maybe we have to consider someday Soriano back to second base. Why? To maybe get more hitting into the lineup, be it off power and left or whatever, because he's not getting any production out of Miles Friel and Fontenot at second base. So I emailed you. I go, how bad was it, or how bad would it be if a guy like if Soriano was moved over to second base? Did you have anything on that?
I do. Okay, so here's how I look at it, Murph. Let's add their offense and their defense together in terms of runs, and that's what we did in the fielding Bible: converted defense into runs saved. So if you look at before the season started, you look at Soriano playing left and Fontenot and Miles playing second. You would say, all right, defensively, Soriano's a bit of a plus guy, and good throwing arm is a big difference for Soriano. So I rate him as a fielder who would save about 5 runs over the course of the season defensively.
Which would surprise many people that just assume because he looks awkward out there that he's a butcher, but he does have some attributes.
Well, his key attribute is his throwing arm. He had to save the most runs in all of baseball among left fielders over the last 3 years with his throwing arm, and that makes a big difference.
Sure.
And Fontenot, Miles, a little bit of above-average combination. I give them a +5 as well. So defensively, those two guys, Soriano, Fontenot, Miles, add 10 runs defensively, and they add 172 runs offensively based on their projection. So the combination is good for 182 runs.
Okay.
Now, if you look at what they've done so far, however, the Fontenot. If you just say Fontenot's pace is what they will end up with, they'll lose 30 runs from that. 30 runs offensively, that 182 drops to 152. So if his offense doesn't get back to where it was, they're going to lose 30 runs because of that. So how many runs would you get if you put, say, Hoffpower in left and Soriano at second? Well, defensively, Hoffpower may be average. Well, let's count him for average. We'll say he's not going to hurt him at all out there in left field.
Let's say he's neutral, but go ahead. That's Soriano,
Well, it's Soriano at second base. Oh man, he was a butcher.
How bad was the butcher?
Well, the butcher was minus 19 runs in 05 the last time he played, and minus 11 in 04. So let's say he's going to average out to minus 15. So that defense, the plus 10 defense, goes to minus 15 runs. And that's a 25-run difference. However, with Hoffpower's offense, you add it all up, it's 169 runs. So if Fontenot and Miles can't only do what they've been doing, you would be better off with Hoffpower and Soriano to the tune of about 17 runs.
Even though Soriano might be one of the worst fielding second basemen of all time.
Yeah, I think Fontenot and Miles, especially Fontenot, I think, remember, I'm the president of the fan club.
I know.
I like Fontenot,
I know.
And I think he's going to come back.
So does Lou. Lou's the vice president. Lou's hoping he comes back.
Yeah, so 169 runs if you put those guys out there. If Fontenot does what he's supposed to do, it would be 182 runs. So it's better if you get Fontenot doing what he's supposed to do. But if he can't do it, Soriano at second, Hoffpower is not ridiculous.
Wow. It sounds ridiculous, but the numbers say maybe desperate times mean desperate measures, right?
Yep. And the run-scoring pace that these two teams are on, we may be desperate at this point.
Hey, a Cub fan here, a Sox fan there. He's John DeWan, and we're both right now trying to figure out, well, what the heck to tweak these teams. John, I'll leave you with this. Stat of the week from Murph, all right? Okay. The White Sox last night, they just pounded the ball. Everybody in the starting lineup had at least one hit. Pods with 4. Alexi Ram with 4. Up and down. There's a Brian Anderson came in for the injury. He had 3 hits. The point is, I looked at all the batting averages prior to the Sox game last night, and the batting average of each player after the game last night. I will not give you all of these, but it's sort of fun to look at. Brian Anderson started the night 286. He's now hitting 307. That's not bad this late in the season, is it?
Not bad. Maybe he's our answer out there.
Well, I tell you what. Now here, Scotty Pods started last night hitting 268. The 4 hits launch him up to 303. He doesn't have that many at-bats. We understand that. But everybody tacking on to points last night almost for the White Sox, and it appears they have their 1 and 2 slots locked in finally with Podsednik leading off, and maybe it looks like now Alexi Ramirez into two-hole. Do you like the feel of that right now?
I do. Let's hope it works out. And maybe Alexi can come back this year like he did last year. It's taken him a little longer. Remember last year he hit about $120 or something. So
if he repeats last year, it's going to be just fine.
It will be, yep.
You got. Hey, you can always reach John DeWan at baseballinfosolutions.com or the easy handle, stateoftheweek.com. Thank you, John.
All right, thanks a lot, Murph.
All right, buddy. See you next week. It's John DeWan. It's Murph. Tell you what, it's beef time right now. What's your beef? Next, give me a buzz. I'll get you. I want to hear your sports beefs. We'll break down the Cubs' problems or not really problems. Hey, remember, it's called a baseball season, not a baseball 2 months. And the White Sox, a lot of good things happening, but don't know about the foot injury back again to Carlos Quentin.
Hey, you got some beefs.
Hit him up! Move out!
Move them out!
We want to know what's bothering you in the world of sports. Give Murph a call at 312-644-6767. That's 312-644-6767. And tell him what's beefing you in the world of sports. What's Your Beef is brought to you by Brown's Chicken Sandwiches and Catering and BrownsChicken.com.
Welcome back. It's Murph. Hey, we'll get right inside the Cubs and Sox and Blackhawks after a lively couple segments of What's Your Beef. Phone lines are jammed. That means when someone hangs up, you dial quickly 644-6767. For my friends at BrownsChicken.com, remember, when money's tight, think Browns. The 3 words, well, you know the 3 words at Browns. It tastes better. The other 3 words at Browns is value and quality and consistency. Those are the words at Browns. Value, quality, and consistency. Lunchtime beefs and Browns. Let's get to the phone lines. See what the Chicago sports fans are beefing about today. Let's go to the south side. Will is on the score. Hello, Will.
Yeah.
Hey, good. Will, what's your beef?
Aaron Miles. He should not be in the Cubs lineup. He shouldn't be in the Cubs uniform. He need to be playing for the Kane Cougars.
That's tool of the week. You got to wait till Friday. Thank you, Will. What's your beef? A concept. But overall, here's what Will could have done. Will, I would say, you know what my beef is, Murph? No, what's that, Will? It's when a major leaguer makes a little mistake, but yet no one talks about it as if nothing happened. And Aaron Miles is the guy. Last night in the Cubs game, no one is talking about a second baseman for the Cubs dropping a little humpback, as Hawk Harrelson would call it, a little duck snort. Right, Hawk? Here's the situation. And when you're not hitting, and Aaron Miles, he has always hit 280, 275, 300, switch hitter, pesky. Maybe he's got to play more often, whatever the reason. He's not hitting right now. That's fine. That'll happen. That's not the beef. The beef is, when you're out in the field, you better be ready to play the game. Now, let's look at what the situation was. The Cubs last night were leading 4-3. Top of the 4th inning. The 7, 8, and 9 hitters are coming up for the Pirates. 7th hitter gets a double and goes to third on a bad pickoff play. You got a runner on third, nobody out, with 8, 9, 1 coming up, and you're up by 1 when you're the Cubs. What'll happen is the next hitter, Wilson, runner on third, nobody out. He'll hit a little duck snort to short right field, which would be the first out of the inning. Then the pitcher comes up, who will later sacrifice bunt, but you figure you got a good shot at getting Mahomes out. Now he'll have a runner on third with 2 out, and Morgan does fly out, though everything can be different. I understand that. They end up with a run on this botched-up play by Aaron Miles, and then a 2-run homer by Sanchez, a 3-run inning, which should have been nothing. If a major leaguer can make a simple play.
The pitch. A blooper out into right, and Miles can't get it.
Dropped it.
It's a tie ball game.
Miles got out underneath that ball, just hit off the thumb of his glove and dropped to the turf out there in shallow right field. Man, that's too bad.
And a high, deep drive to left, and Soriano will not have a play. It's out. So Sanchez showing his power. He is a triple away from the cycle, and it's 6-4 Pittsburgh.
There you go. One little drop ball, and no one talks about it, and there's 3 runs on the board. Let's go to highlights there, courtesy of our friends at good old Channel 9, WGN-TV. Phil from Northbrook. Hello, Felipe.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, Phil, what's your beef?
Man, I got a beef with the NBA and Nike.
Okay.
I'm wondering if when Dwight Howard puts LeBron out the playoffs and Chauncey puts Kobe out, are they still going to run these ads of the puppets?
Well, I'll just say this. The NBA has a big problem in that it's turned into a thug game. That's just my opinion. But if they want, these athletes representing their products, they must know that the people watching NBA playoffs enjoy the thuggery and the street brawling. Did you see Kobe Bryant tripped last night? Did you see the replay, or did you see that in the Laker game at all, Phil?
I sure did.
What? Now, you know what? Everyone likes some hard basketball. Don't get me wrong. Clean, hard playoff basketball. How can you be tripping a guy, and how does that make the fans feel that this is a good form of entertainment and a sponsorship, be it Nike or whoever? Why do they want to be embracing this type of play?
No, that's terrible, man. That's terrible. It's not teaching the young kids anything, Not teaching them anything at all.
Well, you know what? You're a winner. I agree with you, Phil, and when you agree with Murph, you go visit my friends at Browns. Go hook up with my guys at Browns, all right, buddy?
All right, man.
Good deal. Hang on. Phil from Northbrook, going to go visit my friends at Browns. By the way.
Bud Selig declined to talk to us.
Oh, okay. Not this time. Thanks, Joe. Welcome back, Murph. Let's get back to the phone lines. What's your beef, my friends at Browns? You know the Italian beefs for lunch and the Italian sausage for lunch, the Chicago way, it's the real way. And you put them together, you call it a combo, right? I've been telling you that for years. It's the favorite of Frank Portillo, president of Browns. But brand new at Browns, just about, a couple months ago now, the delicious Primo pasta bowls. These are fantastic, cooked fresh to order. You get the Southwestern-style mac and cheese. Maybe you love the bold fire-roasted tomato pesto pasta. It's hard to say, pesto pasta. Or the creamy Parmesan Alfredo with Italian sausage. The great Primo pasta bowls at Browns. You know it tastes better. Let's go to Mark. First, Roger from Kenosha, Wisconsin. Hello, Roger.
Hey, Murph, how you doing?
Good, from Kenosha. How can you have a beef up in beautiful Kenosha? What's your beef?
Murph, my beef is these players that can't keep their emotions in check even when they're not playing in the game.
Are you talking about Ted Lilly last night or what?
Absolutely. Drove me nuts.
Now, the only thing I will say, Roger, and I agree with you basically, but then there'll be phone calls, this team, that team, they don't show any emotion. They're flat. Who's the leader? How come they don't show any emotion? I know that those phone calls come in also, but you've got the other side of the coin. Ted Lilly probably should have put a seatbelt on last night, right?
He should, because you never see them retribution calls coming then.
You mean the umps never even it up for you, it seems, right?
Right.
I got you. Thanks a lot. You know what? 1 o'clock hour, we're going to talk a little bit more in depth as to some of the things that have been going on with umpires and the Cubs and the Cubs manager, who seems very, very sedate and docile lately. Let's go to Chris from Oak Forest. Hello, Chris.
Hey, Murph, how you doing?
Good. My friends at Browns want to know, what's your beef?
Well, my beef's with the whole Cubs organization by not playing the national anthem to the TV audience yesterday and showing the eagle flying around the stadium. I just thought it was in poor taste, being that it was Memorial Day.
Well, you know what? I've noticed that it's sort of hit and miss, if I'm not mistaken, Chris, sometimes. And I don't know if it's one outlet and not the other, their commercial load, but I agree with you. It should be, especially on a day like Memorial Day and with the Eagle, which was beautiful. I kept showing the replays of it. And you say, hey, come on, bring it on. Let me see it, especially on a day like that, right?
Correct, sir.
Hey, you know what? That's a very, very good beef, just like over at Browns. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Hey, Jay Zawalski, what's your beef?
Well, Murph, my beef is this.
Yeah.
I have a beef with Cubs management. They've become renowned for ripping off the Pittsburgh Pirates, taking all their talent away.
Oh, they have done Well, Ramirez being at the top
and
of the
Kenny
heap,
Lofton
right?
at the time was a good deal for the Cubs.
Kenny Lofton. How old is he now? About 44, 45?
Right.
Probably still could play.
Why isn't Freddie Sanchez a Cub yet? That's my question. That's my beef.
Well, evidently the Pirates still have enough length of his contract. He's probably still, look up and see. Now, what's he played? 3-4 years? See, this is about the time. Now, very good, Jay. This is about the time. If he's in his 4th year, this would be just about when the Pirates would be starting to worry about, oh, boy, we got to negotiate a long-term deal with this guy. Let's get something for him. You know what? There's probably a few other second basemen, third basemen out there. Hey, how about this? How about at 1 o'clock hour? Or let's do it right now. Cub fans, Mark DeRosa, would you like to see, let's set up our text system right now, fellas, 67011, powered by U.S. Cellular. Would it be would it be crazy for Jim Hendry to call up the Indians, who right now are, 8.5 games back. They are out of it. Mark DeRosa's hitting about 250, got his RBIs, playing average ball, nowhere near the ball he had last year. Yes or no, do you think it would be possible for Jim Hendry to work out a deal for Mark DeRosa? Because he certainly has to be looking at a second or third baseman out there somewhere.
By the way, Murph, Freddie Sanchez makes $6.1 million this year. Then next year, there's an $8 million club option. So,
how many years has he played? Does it say?
I'm looking at just his contract here.
Okay.
5 years. Just about. This is his 5th season.
Okay. So they wrapped him up to avoid arbitration, obviously, a year or two ago. So he's right about at that point where the Pirates are going, oh, boy, we got to make a trade here or we'll lose this guy. Maybe he can get 5-6 hits every day for the Cubs. Of course, he won't be facing their pitching. I understand that. Let's go to Phil in McHenry. Hello, Philip.
How you doing there, Mr. Murph? Hopefully you remember who I am. I'm a big Cub fanatic. Hey, listen, I wanted to make a comment on the DeRosa thing. Sources that I heard about here that they're kind of talking to Florida about getting that George Cantu fellow to play third.
Yep.
For Mike and Jake Fox. They're talking about. That's just kind of a rumor thing. I'm not sure.
Well, there's a lot of rumors flying. I know online, offline, in the line, every line, including even Ugla and a lot of different names flying around. So you know what? Jim Hendry will make the move when he feels it's right, and it might be sooner than we thought. But what's your beef, also, Phil?
My beef is actually it's one beef, but it's in 2 parts. I got
a 2-part beef. All right.
A 2-part beef with the middle relief. I mean, we have a problem with the middle relief and Neil Kotz, and then of course the other part is the architect of this bullpen, and that's Jim Hendry. So that's my beef.
Well,
if that beef isn't fixed, there is no postseason. There's nothing.
Well, you know what? It'd be nice to have a left-handed reliever that could get lefties out every once in a while, right?
Absolutely. I just it's a big problem, and unless that problem is looked at and corrected, there is no postseason. There's nothing.
Well, you know,
I mean, Neil Kotz is not. Every time he's came in with Aaron Hellman to do anything, I don't remember the last time he's done his job.
Well, Phil, in Sandy, I really thought that Neil Kotz would not be on the airplane coming back to Chicago when he gave up the home run to Adrian Gonzalez. He cannot get lefties out, and then they bring him in last night in a game where they had the lead, and then boom, boom, he gets just tomahawked. I was shocked he was still with the club today, maybe with the injuries, Marmol being gone to New York for, I guess I read something about his wife's pregnant, having a baby. So maybe in another day or two, Mr. Hendry will work that out. I appreciate it. Thank you, Phil. Appreciate it very much. Oh, hey, you're a big fan of Browns. You love Browns, but here's what's even better than loving Browns. You can become a preferred customer at Browns. Just go to brownschicken.com, sign up for the Preferred Customer Club, and the membership, here's the benefits. You get automatic email notices of special offers. How about this? Instant access. Who wouldn't love this? To downloadable coupons, print, use at your neighborhood Browns. And Browns Preferred Customer Club members like you get exclusive offers going only to club members like you. Let's bring in Mark from Kenosha. Well, everyone loves the score in Kenosha today. Hi, Mark.
Hey, Murph, this is Mark up in Kenosha.
Hey, Kenosha Mark.
I am beefed up because I'm sick and tired of all the major leaguers getting up on the step once they hit a home run. Wait till the World Series is on and pull a Reggie Jackson and come out and tip your hat.
Now
Don't do it during every game.
You're talking about what's known as curtain calls, right?
Yeah, that's it. Stay in the dugout.
You know, it's funny. I was watching the MLB network, and they replayed the World Series where Reggie Jackson hit the 1, the 2, the 3 home runs, and how they almost had to encourage him and push him out to wave his helmet to the Yankee fans, right?
Now they do it for everything. It's overused. Come on, wait till you're in the World Series. That's what I think.
Good beef. Thank you, Mark. Could be a long time waiting. Could be a long time waiting. I know, Jay, you got a few more beefs. Rodney from Lafayette, Indiana's next, though. Hello, Rodney.
Hey, Murph.
Hey.
My beef is simple.
Yeah.
Chicago Cubs and non-fundamentals. You mentioned Aaron Miles. You could throw Ryan Friel's brain mistake into that.
Ryan Theriot last night, you mean, right?
No, I mean Ryan Friel with the ground ball right at him and a slow-footed runner.
Oh, yeah.
Down to first.
Now,
he tries to make the big play instead of just throwing the ball to first.
Now, we have to remember, anytime you give the umpire a chance to blow the call, it's your own fault. It was probably that he beat him, but the point is he made the umpire make a decision, and he punched him out, punched him safe, even though so you're exactly right. He could have tagged him or just conventionally thrown. Why do you think third basemen for 150 years throw the ball across? Because it's easier and there's less risk, right?
That's right. It's the hot corner. You got more time to throw a guy out.
The hot corner. Thank you, Rodney. I appreciate it. Jay Zawoski, you're all beefed up today, too. What's your, you got a bunch of beefs, Jay.
I have a beef with NBC for continuing to employ hockey blowhard Pierre Maguire as their analyst.
Yeah.
At this point, why not just put a Red Wings jersey on him, give him a bucket full of octopi, and every time the Wings score, he can throw the octopi on the ice. And we all know for sure where he stands.
The octopuses. Let's go to our final beefer of the day, Chet from Gary, Indiana, not Louisiana. Hello, Chet.
Hello.
Hey, Chet, it's Murph. You're on the air. What's your beef?
Well, my beef is all last week when the Sox had lost 5 in a row, you wanted to throw them under the bus, all the score people and the newspaper people, and get rid of Kenny Williams, get rid of Greg Walker, trade half a dozen guys, tear it all down. Now you guys are in an 8-game losing streak in the worst National League in history, and nobody's saying panic on the north side. You guys need to, even it up a little bit.
We got to have equal opportunity panic.
Exactly.
I love it. Hey, Chet, I like your angle. Hang on, go visit Brown's for lunch, for dinner. It tastes better courtesy of Murph. Hang on, okay, buddy?
All righty.
It's Murph. Let's get inside a little baseball. And real quick, the 3 pitchers that Jim Hendry received for Mark DeRosa, all doing pretty damn well. Jeff Stevens at AAA, he's a starter, ERA 2.04. A lefty at AA, a bullpen guy right now, John Gaub at GAUB, 2-0, 2.77 ERA at Tennessee. And down at A-ball Peoria, right-handed starting pitcher Chris Archer, 1-0 with a 1.80 ERA, 30 strikeouts, 25 innings. Not bad. They might all be a year or two away. Stevens might be ready sooner than later. And the White Sox, I noticed over the weekend, have now played Gordon Beckham a little bit at second base and third base. Kenny Williams says, you say what you want. You'll play it the way you want, he says to the press. We'll talk about that after 1 o'clock. And Jim from Evergreen Park. Jim, my text results are coming in. Yes or no, should Jim Hendry contact the Cleveland Indians, who are in last place, 8.5 back, for to talk about Mark DeRosa? Hello, Jim.
Murph, how are you? Hey, I think he should. I don't think he will. And I was actually a guy who thought that getting rid of DeRosa wasn't the end of the world.
Oh, me too, right.
I don't think that Hendry is going to admit that he made a mistake. I still do think, I don't know if it was ever reported and ever, really came to the bottom of it, but I don't think he got along super well with him. I think that's part of it as well. And I just think that, like you said, they're not going to give him those 3 young pitchers back, and other teams are probably going to be willing to pay a little bit more for him.
Well, I'll tell you what, Jim, I'm up against the clock. I always appreciate your thoughts. The only thing I'll jump in with you on the other side is I don't think Jim Hendry is one of those ego guys that would be, above or beneath saying, hey, you know what? I'd like to get that guy back. I think he would do it, but, it's still a lot of factors into that. Other teams, Mark DeRosa, the Indians, but I think Jim Hendry would be the first guy to say, hey, you know what? I can correct something. I'll make that phone call. Jim, we'll keep watching. Thank you, buddy.
Thanks, Murph.
Appreciate Sports Radio 670. It's Murph back in a flash when we return. Plenty of White Sox talk, and I want to ask Cub fans a few things about the skipper of the Cubs, how he is different from Coach Quenneville, who got fined $10,000 for protecting his players. It's The Score. Hi there, everybody. Murph with you for one more hour. This hour brought to you by Menards. All right, if you'd like to beat the crowd, 644-6767. Cubs fans, Sox fans, and Blackhawks fans. Otherwise, lots of topics on the yellow pads here. Sox fans, real quick, is the leadoff man job now solidified with Scotty Podsednik? He's running good. He's hitting. He looks like the leadoff man for the rest of the year? Or is this just, come on, Murph, this guy is through. It's one of those little aberrations. And Alexi Ramirez looking more comfortable in the two-hole. Sox fans, yes or no? Do you like the way 1 and 2 are shaping up? And Sox fans, Clayton Richard, I've been behind, as you know, this guy since last August. For some reason, they've done everything they can to push him back, retard his progress. Now he's pushed his way into the rotation. Sox fans, who's your number 4? Who's your number 5? Who's your number 3? Is Clayton Richard, Colon, Contreras, Floyd, Danks? It's really a nice problem if you can get some good results out of Richard and Colon and Contreras to mask any problems that you might have from Danks and Floyd. Cub fans, by the way, text results are in. This is interesting. Yes or no? Should Jim Hendry There's got to be something wrong here, Jay Zawaski. Either the way we phrased it, or if we should let it run a little while longer to get a larger sample size. The question was posed, I thought pretty basic. Should Jim Hendry consider picking up the phone and calling the Indians and seeing if Mark DeRosa is available? He's on the last year of a 3-year deal. You know all of that. Indians are going nowhere, 8.5 games back, having to leapfrog 4 teams in front of them. Yes, Murph, 41%. No, don't call. Everyone loved Mark DeRosa in the winter. Everyone wondered why he was gone. Should we let this roll another minute or two, Jay Zawowski? What do you think? I can't believe the results.
Maybe we can let's reset the votes. We'll let the votes go through again.
All right. What does that mean?
That means we'll start it fresh at 0, right. And we'll let people vote again. Make sure there were no errors in the system.
All right.
Because I can't believe those
Should
numbers
Jim Hendry pick up the phone, call the Indians, see if Mark DeRosa is available? That's the question. Yes or no?
Yes or no.
67011, powered by U.S. Cellular. Now, I want to talk for a minute about Milton Bradley. And the question will be this. Which manager, head coach, let's call him the skipper. Which skipper, hey little buddy, which skipper did the right thing? Joel Quenneville or Lou Piniella? Here's where I want to go with this. Joel Quenneville, Blackhawks skipper, head coach, fined by the league $10,000 for saying he thought the officiating sucked. Worst call in sports history. You know the whole story. Joel Quenneville steps up for his guys. Now, should Milton Bradley have said anything? No, of course not. I understand that. Should Milton Bradley have stepped out and said the umpires are against him, that when he gets 2 strikes, they're all trying to see if they can agitate him, if they can make him fail? You saw all the quotes from Paul Sullivan, right? That's not the point. That's not the question. Of course, he should not have said that, because you're going to get the umpires rallying against you. The question is this. Yes or no? Give me a buzz. 644-6767. Yes or no? Could Milton Bradley be correct? That's all I want to hear from you. Could he be correct when he says that to protect our guy Larry Van over the umpire that had the little dust up with Milton Bradley, could he be correct, Milton Bradley, when he says the other umpires, use the word conspiracy, whatever you wish, are in concert against him when he gets 2 strikes, that they want to enlarge that strike zone? That's all I want to ask you. Could Milton Bradley be correct? Now, Joel Quenneville gets a $10,000 fine from the league. He says it was the worst call in the history of athletics. Now, Lou Piniella, when he finds out the other day that Milton Bradley made the statement to Paul Sullivan about the umpires, you heard what Lou Piniella said. Boy, I think Milton Bradley ought to just not say that. He didn't try to protect his guy at all. I'm a big Lou Piniella fan. I still believe that during the game, from the first into the ninth inning, he's as good as it gets. He's a good handler of men. However, Ted Lilly last night, and it was odd that this wasn't shown. It was between innings, and I never did see the replays that people are talking about. Jay Zawaski, you and I watched the game. We went back through it after the fifth inning. We never did see the replay.
We even checked the Pirates broadcast as well.
You did. Yes, you did. Now, here's the situation. Cubs pitcher, Jose Escano, throws a two-strike pitch to one of the Pirate guys. Was it Wilson? One of the guys. And it's called a ball. Lilly, evidently, is back in the locker room watching the game on TV. He doesn't like the call. Let's go now to Channel 9, WGN-TV, Len and Bob talking about this. My question to you is very simple. If Coach Joel Quenneville is going to argue with the referees, be working the refs during the game, talk about them after the game, and get fined $10,000, what has Lou Piniella done recently to protect his guys, other than, A, telling Milton Bradley through the papers that he shouldn't have said that? Well, we all know he shouldn't have said that, Lou. We understand that. Is that what you do? You run out and you don't protect your guy. You don't. Maybe Milton Bradley's tough to protect. I don't know. If I'm Jim Hendry, I'm wondering why my manager is not trying to protect Milton Bradley. But maybe you don't like Milton Bradley. So let's look at last night. Why was it that Ted Lilly was the guy that has to go out there and get into Bob Davidson's face, who's been a terrible umpire on balls and strikes, particularly for both teams last night? Here's Len and Bob.
There was some sort of argument between innings. I saw Lou come out to chat with Bob Davidson, and then Ted Lilly got into it. Larry Rothschild as well. And, Bob, I wonder if Ted and Larry have been tossed from the bench.
I know for a fact that starting pitchers on days they don't pitch, a lot of times they like to watch the game in the video room. Certainly, if you've been watching this game up in the video room, you've seen the number of pitches that Bob Davidson has missed in this game, and perhaps Ted Lilly and or Larry Rothschild just thought it was time to point it out to Bob Davidson what a horrible job he's doing tonight.
Other than that, you're doing great.
Yeah.
That was, by the way, WGN-TV. Very nicely played there by Bob Brenly. He was actually, well, to me, he was actually saying, where the hell was Lou? Maybe that's not BB was what was thinking. Bob, if you're listening, I apologize. I don't want to put words in your mouth because you said it perfectly. Maybe Ted Lilly and Larry Rothschild were trying to get to the umpire Davidson and tell him they didn't like the calls. Where's the manager? You know what? I'm not saying Lou should go out, pick up third base, and throw it. I'm not saying Lou should get out there and start kicking dirt on the umps. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, why is it that Milton Bradley, when he goes public, and, of course, he should not have. That's not where we're going with this. Milton Bradley feels that the umpires are in concert against him. But yet, when he makes that statement, Lou Piniella says, oh, boy, I wish he hadn't gone on record and said that. Why doesn't Lou say, you know what? We're going to look into this and see what we find. We're going to watch the replays. We're going to look into this. How come Lou's not out? I love Lou Piniella. And I'm not saying to orchestrate a phony argument with the umpire. I'm not saying that. I'm saying, would you not think it odd, don't you think it odd, that Lou Piniella will not be the guy that's going out there to protect Jose Escano, that he's not in the press trying to protect his own guy? Ted Lilly had to be the guy to go out there, be agitated, the confrontation escalates. Let's go to the phone line, 644-6767, and Vince from Lake in the Hills is first in line. Hello, Vince.
Hey, Murph, how you doing?
Fine, Vince. Where do you jump in on this?
Well, first of all, let me ask you a question. What's Bradley hitting?
He's hitting 500.
lately, okay? The biggest problem with Bradley, when I agree with Lou Piniella, you just got to shut up and play the game.
All right, Vince, Vince, you agree with me. I said that. That wasn't...
Please. But here's the thing, though.
Yeah.
Okay? Yeah. About Lily. Mm-hmm. This team right now, you talked about DeRosa before getting traded, okay? This team right now doesn't have any leadership. And if you're a good, strong Cub fan, you know that. You look at where DeRosa was and Wood last year. Everybody respected DeRosa last year because he played all over the place.
All right, that's fine. Let's say I agree with you. That's fine. What do you do about it now? Just bitch?
No, what he did was right. What Lily did was right. Okay. Lou's looking for a leader out there, and Lily came out. Right. He complained and got pissed off with Rothschild because he knew they were being completely wrong. Lou wants to find out among those men on that team who's got enough collunes to go out there and fight for each other.
Now that's a good angle. So your angle is, and I'm not going to disagree with you, Vince. I got to think it through because it's a good angle. You're saying Lou did not want to be the guy to go out there and try to protect Ascano. He was happy that Lily was the guy that did it. That's possible.
Absolutely, because these guys got to get some fire from somebody in this team, because no one right now, you got Lee not hitting nothing, Ramirez is out, no one is taking charge of this team on the field, and that's the Cubs' biggest problem right now, because no one's got no one to believe in each other in the team, because no one's really taken the reins and really gone with the team and says, I'm the guy out there busting my hump on every single play, and no one's
let me ask you this then, do you disagree with Joe Quenneville doing what he did and getting fined by the league for doing it?
No, I get there. I would complain on my heart up on all those refs because I've seen that game.
Well, then why isn't Lou Piniella being like Quenneville?
Because he's looking for a leader. They got a lot of good leaders on the Hawks team. It's a young team. But Quenneville knows he had to go out there and be the guy but Lou knows he's got men there that are not leaders. He's got to find somebody to really take the reins and really push these guys together.
Lake in the Hills, Vince. Vince, good to hear phone again. All right, buddy? Thank you very much. Ted Lilly after the game with his confrontation from the dugout, evidently originally from the locker room, then the dugout, then on the field with Bob Davidson. Ted?
He wasn't concentrating, and I asked him if he could concentrate a little bit back there. And then pretty much he told me he could do whatever he wanted. You know? So when you came out, I think that got me upset, you know, when that was you know, his message. That was kind of the gist of it. And then after that, you know, then I became a little upset, you know, kind of with the attitude that, you know, he can kind of do whatever he wants because he's the umpire. He might have touched me, but I didn't touch him.
Ted Lilly after the game, 644-6767. We understand Milton Bradley shouldn't be saying what he said. Do you believe that it's possible that the umpires indeed have tried to rally around each other and they have orchestrated calls against Milton Bradley? Do you believe what Milton says is true? Not should he have said it. And I wanted to take a quick break here, but first I wanted to give our condolences out to a good friend of mine and many of yours. His mom passed away, and it's Joey DeBuono over at Tofano's, the passing of Mama Marie DeBuono over at Tofano's, the great restaurant over on Irving Park. Back in a flash, it's Murph.
670thescore.com.
It's Murph. Let's get back to the phones, and we have lots of Milton Bradley, Cubs, Sox, Blackhawks to cover between now and 2. Text results are in. Jay Zawoski, our final result now came in around the opposite 60-40. But on the average then from the first round and the second round, 50-50, should Jim Hendry contact the Indians to see if Mark DeRosa is available, right?
Yeah, those are still shocking to me, but you got to figure there's some fans from the other side of town voting. We can't
interloping
we can't screen the votes that way.
Interloping. All right, clear the, take the Etch-a-Sketch, turn it upside down, shake it. 67011. Yes or no? Text me. Could Milton Bradley be correct when he says the umps are against him? New text question, 67011. Yes or no? Could Milton Bradley be correct when he says the umpires are against him? Or if you wish to phone, 644-6767. Sox fans, this was from over the weekend. Tony Giannetti, White Sox Notebook in the Sun-Times. It's reported here that the White Sox have been playing top prospect Gordon Beckham down at Class AA Birmingham. He played some third base. And, let's see, 2 spots. Third base, Kenny Williams, when asking why, Beckham's playing other positions, besides shortstop. He says also second base, third base says, hey, he says, quote, I wish I could tell you what to, this is to the reporters, I guess. I wish I could tell you what to project and what not to project, but you, meaning the reporters, you'll play with it the way you want. So, if that's what he thinks, then I think we should ask Sox fans. What do you think about the fact that after saying that Beckham's going to be at shortstop, now all of a sudden he's playing other positions? I think it's terrific, and that they're not locked in. I want to ask you something else. Did you notice this? This was buried Saturday in the Tribune, Paul Sullivan's little notebook here, way at the bottom. When the Cubs were in St. Louis last Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, then after the Thursday night game, they flew to San Diego for Friday night, Saturday night, and the Sunday day game. If you remember, Zambrano pitched Game 1 in San Diego Friday night. Here's the note. Carlos Zambrano, and this is very common, the pitcher for tomorrow's game, night game, will fly a night ahead of the team, get a, good night's sleep under his belt. Here's what it says in the Tribune. Carlos Zambrano flew to San Diego Thursday afternoon. Remember, the final game in St. Louis was Thursday night. Zambrano flew to San Diego Thursday afternoon to get some rest before his start on Friday. But after telling the media that Zambrano was at the St. Louis ballpark, Piniella was perturbed, those are the words of Paul Sullivan, that pitching coach Larry Rothschild did not inform Lou Piniella that Zambrano had left early to get the good night's sleep. Piniella says, quote, the amazing thing around here, and that's an odd way for him to phrase it, around here, he says, the amazing thing around here is the manager is the last guy to find out about things. And then, in today's papers, Lou Piniella says he doesn't want the Cubs hitters running down and looking in the video room after they're at bat, assuming after they make an out. And here's what Lou says, and he's exactly right. He says he likes the old-fashioned way. Instead of running down and watching yourself make the out, he says the old-fashioned way is sitting on the bench, watching the opposing pitcher. See how the opposing pitcher is pitching one guy, and it gives you an idea of maybe how he's going to pitch to you. See what he's getting over the plate. See what he's getting people out with. If you're watching tape of yourself pop up or ground out, you miss a lot of the things that can help you. Little things I don't like starting to happen. Of course, when you're losing, it's going to happen. Let's bring in Micah, not Hoffpower, from Bloomington, Illinois. Hi, Micah.
How's it going, Murph?
Good, Micah. What do you have on our busy combination platter here today?
Well, I want to speak to the Milton Bradley situation. You may agree or disagree, or you may be upset with my answer, but I think it's possible that Milton Bradley is right, and let me explain why. Mm-hmm. He may be right because if we look back in history, I think we'll remember a player by the name of Dennis Rodman. That didn't have the best character, if I might say, and the refs certainly were out to get him at all times. I think it's possible that Milton Bradley may be in the same situation. Is he right? Probably not, but is it possible? I think so.
All right. By the way, I agree with you 100%, but let's push the ball down the field to the bigger topic. Joel Quenneville of the Blackhawks criticized the referee, stood up for refereeing, stood up for his guys, and got the $10,000 fine. If indeed Milton Bradley feels this way, that there might be, an effort, orchestrated effort, would it not seem that Lou Piniella would be a good guy to come forward and say that instead of his own guy, Milton Bradley?
I think that's possible, and I think, a couple of years ago we saw Lou Piniella do that against the, who was that, the Brewers, where he went out to third base and got fifth and did his thing, and that got our team fired up. Maybe that's what we need. I don't know.
No, that was orchestrated, and it worked. Pre-planned. Oh. Now, last night, when Ted Lilly from the dugout starts giving it to the home plate up and then leaves the dugout and gets thrown out of the game, I'm still going to stand and say that I would rather see Lou Piniella do that than the pitcher from, who's not even in the game do that. But we had a caller a little while ago from Lake in the Hills said, no, Lou wanted to see if any of his players would be a leader. I don't know if that's the leadership you want, as a non-playing guy jumping out on the field, though, like Ted Lilly did last night.
Well, Murph, I agree with that. Because I don't think Lilly, I love Lilly, he's my favorite starting pitcher, but I don't think he can be the guy to do that because he only pitches once every 5 days. We need an everyday player to stand up and say, this is the way that it's going to be.
Or, in other words, if that umpire was doing a job that someone felt they had to get inside him and protect Jose Escano, I'd rather have it be Lou Piniella. Mike, I got to run. Phone again, buddy.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it very, very much. Everyone on hold, we'll get right back to you. 644-6767. Hey, Cub fans, is the season over? It's a baseball season, or is it a baseball 2 months? Hey, we'll talk about it. Too early to hit the panic button on 670 The Score and 670thescore.com.
And now it's time for another Murph moment.
I apologize if this was covered Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or Monday, but the Jake Peavy thing to the White Sox, I believe, dictates a quick 1-minute wrap-up here. Number one, from all the Friday newspapers, I'm going to give you some different angles. These are all from, believe it or not, all from the Friday Tribune, Jake Peavy, White Sox, the trade that never occurred. Kenny Williams says it's understandable. This is a direct quote in the Tribune. It's understandable that Jake Peavy was caught off guard. Chris DeLuca over in the Sun-Times on Friday. Sox fans should be excited that Kenny Williams returned to his gunslinger ways. Mark Gonzalez, Sox beat reporter in the Tribune, also Friday, that the White Sox were willing to take on Jake Peavy's $60 million demonstrates the commitment the Sox were willing to make. Wow. Here's Rick Morrissey Friday in the Tribune. Again, on the trade that never happened. It was a bold move by general manager Kenny Williams. It would have been a shock if Kenny pulled it off. Rick Morrissey continues, Kenny Williams made his move and the player turned it down. But you can't succeed without being bold. So Rick Morrissey says it was a bold move, even though it never happened. Mark Gonzalez, it's great to know the Sox' willingness to commit to the $60 million, which they never did. Chris DeLuca, the Sox fans should be excited. Kenny Williams is returning to his gunslinger ways in a trade that never occurred. Kenny Williams says, well, it is understandable, with the no trade, that Jake Peavy was caught off guard. But Phil Rogers in the Tribune, Phil's making a comeback here, in my eyes. Phil Rogers making a comeback. Congratulations, Phil. In the same Friday Tribune, Phil Rogers says that Jake Peavy used his no trade and turned down the deal. Phil Rogers says it surprised no one. It probably didn't even surprise Kenny Williams that Peavy exercised his no trade clause. Phil Rogers continues, the shocking part was that Kenny Williams had tried to make this work in the first place. This trade was never going to happen. I wasn't here Friday, had a day off, and over the weekend. I just wonder if Sox fans, did you feel used when you kept reading all this and then you realized that they made the deal before they got the okay from a guy that was never going to give the okay?
This has been another Murph moment.
Get back to the phones. Oh, Cub fans, I want to ask you if you agree with Todd Hollandsworth. Todd Hollandsworth was on, and here's a guy that's changing also. Maybe I'm going to give Todd a second chance. Todd Hollandsworth on the Score this morning on loan from Comcast Sportsnet, the Cubs expert. I'm with Mully and Hanley. Remember, Todd Hollandsworth, the third week of the season, used the word alarmed. He was alarmed how things were going for the Cubs, so I got to think now he's really alarmed. Todd, what do you think? You're still real alarmed?
They are not out of it. I mean, that's the thing that's so great is that, this is a very competitive division, and people in this division are going to continue to beat each other up. And if the Cubs can just get healthy and get the offense rolling and the pitching, remains as, outside of last night, the starting pitching's been fantastic. And they're going to have to settle down the middle of that bullpen. But, if those things come together, this team can and will win ball games.
How about that? They just lost 8 in a row. Now things are fine. I like it. Todd's turning around from being alarmed the third week in the season. Let's get back to the phones. It's Murph, driven to you by ChevyDriveChicago.com. By the way, our text results are flying in. Yes or no, 67011. Do you believe that it's possible that Milton Bradley is correct, that the umpires are orchestrating a movement against him, 75% of you say, yes, it's possible. Now, should he have said anything? No. We understand that. That's not what we're saying. But 75% of you say, you know what? These umpires might be trying to stick it to him, which I don't know if that's the true definition of a fair arbiter. I don't think it really is. Let's go to Chad from Effingham on the score. Hello, Chad.
Hey, Murph, how are you?
Good, Chad. Yes or no? The umpires maybe are trying to circle the wagons against Milton Bradley.
Yeah, I just don't buy into that, Murph. I think when things are going bad, I think the first thing you do is look to blame something. And
that's not the... Hold on, though, Chad. With all due respect, that's not the question. I'm asking you, and I believe you've answered it, do you believe the umpires are in orchestrated concert here to try to work against him? And I believe you're saying, no, you don't believe that's true.
No, I don't at all.
All right. This is not, should Milton be saying anything? Is he in a slump? Yes, we all know that. But I'm just trying to get a feel for if you think that his statement is true or not, and you say no way, right?
No.
All right. That's cool. I appreciate it, Chad. This hour of the score brought to you by Menards. So Aaron Miles drops a little duck snort last night. Damn it. Aaron Miles drops a little duck snort with a man on third and nobody out from the 8th hitter, which would have been 1 out. Runner stays on third. The 9th hitter, you're probably going to get him out. And then the number 1 hitter, who will fly out, turns into be a 3-run inning. Thanks to Aaron. Now, if you're not hitting, Aaron, that's okay. You don't hit. That's fine. You've always hit 275. That's probably your career number. But you got to catch a little pop-up. And then Ryan Theriot. Here's a guy, Ryan Theriot, who should be the smartest guy out there with his physical ability. You got to scrap all your life. From Little League, high school, college, minor leagues, make it to the major leagues. A guy like Ryan Theriot to have not 1 but 2 brain cramps last night in the first inning. Soriano, with the Cubs down 1-0, leads off the bottom of the first with the walk. Theriot hits the first of his 3 doubles to knock in Soriano, so he's on second base with nobody out. You're going to hear the sound bites here from Len and Bob. The number 3 hitter, Bradley, hits a little baby 3-hopper towards shortstop. Shortstop's coming in. Theriot should go to third. He freezes and stays at second. Now with 1 out, Reed Johnson, with Theriot still on second base, hits a sharp ball, 2-hopper to the shortstop, and a Little League mistake. Theriot tries to go to third. He's out on what they call a 6-5. 2 brain cramps in 1 inning on the bases. Unbelievable.
They have a run here in the first inning. Not hit very hard, and Jack Wilson slinging across. Theriot remaining at second. Theriot dancing off second. Sharply hit to Wilson. The throw's going to go to third as he tags Theriot.
It's just a horrible base running play that time by Ryan Theriot. He certainly knew where Jack Wilson was, playing right off his right shoulder there. He just breaks on contact, runs into an easy out at third base. He was already in scoring position.
That's no good.
You know what? Brain cramps when you're losing 8 in a row, not good. I understand they're all trying to make something happen. I understand they're all panicking right now. But Ryan Theriot, twice in the same inning, misreading the ball to the shortstop the first time, not going when he should have, and then to compound going when he should not have. 67011, yes or no? Text me now. Could it be that Milton Bradley's correct that the umpires are working against him? John is in Skokie next. Hello, John.
How you doing, Murph?
Good. Jump in, please.
You know, I was going to defend Kenny on this, and I'll tell you why. You know, I remember last year with the Griffey trade. If you remember that, it leaked in the media first. I mean, obviously Griffey's no Peavy, all right, but it wasn't clear exactly that he was going to approve it, and he wound up approving it. And you know, it was maybe not as big of a gamble as Peavy, but you know, I think it's just Kenny's style. And you know, if the Padres approved it, you know, the next step is for the player to.
Now, I'm not privy to the Ken Griffey, dealings at the time. It's very possible that maybe Kenny had already gotten word. I don't know. Maybe yes, maybe no. Maybe he had already gotten word from Griffey or Griff's agent that, yes, I'd be happy to accept a trade. I don't know the parameters of his no-trade clause, but he obviously was ready to go to the White Sox. Now, we know that was not the case this time. How about the player's point of view? And I know none of us like the players, but let me ask you this, Skokie John. The agent, Axelrod, says that he's a little upset that his player, Peavy, has to be put in the middle here by the trade being announced, and then he looks like the bad guys have to say yes or no. I believe the spirit of the no trade, and maybe this will have to be refigured on the next basic agreement. I don't know, Skokie John. But wouldn't you think if you're the player, you're not really anticipating being put up there on the headlines, do you say yes or do you say no? I think they should come to you. Maybe this is something baseball has to change in the future.
Yeah, you're probably right. Although when I heard his excuse, I don't want to pitch in the American League.
But that's his prerogative. See, he negotiated for a no-trade clause. So whether you like it or not, he shouldn't even have to make that statement is what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I understand. But, come on. Challenge yourself a little bit there, Jake.
Thank you very much. Thank you, John. That's easy unless you're Jake. And you go, wait a minute. I negotiated for this big contract. They owe me $60 million, and I can say no. All of a sudden now, the trade's made, and I have to make a decision in the press. Is Jake Peavy going to say yes or no? Should have been done ahead of time. That's not me speaking. That's the agents involved, both Axelrod and another agent, Scott Boras, who says that this is not the way it's supposed to be handled. Let's go, and then Frank from LaSalle, Illinois. Hello, Frank.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah, I wanted to know why they batted Escania with runners on...
runner on second with 2 out in the 5th inning.
Right, and then he makes out, and then they bring in Kotz the following inning.
Well, we don't like Neil Kotz. I understand where you're going there, but here's the problem. As you probably know, in the National League, if you have 12 pitchers, you got 5 guys on the bench. Here were the 5 guys on the bench last night. Lee, who wasn't there because he was home with the flu.
Right.
Bobby Scales, with the flu, had already been used in the 4th inning.
Okay.
So that left 3 guys, Fukudome, Hill, and Fontenot.
How about Coy Hill?
Yeah, Fukudome, Hill, and Fontenot. Well, the other problem is you hate in the National League to use your second catcher. If you spend him up, utilize him in the 5th inning, you got no one backup if you go 15 innings or if you have an injury. Also, we find out this morning that Marmol wasn't at the game. He was in New York. His wife's delivering. So you had one fewer guy to bring in out of the bullpen. It was a real jam for Lou, and it doesn't look good either when you have Zambrano pinch hitting with 1st and 2nd and 2 out. But in the left-handed bullpen for the Pirates, they had Burnett and they had Graybow. So if you brought in Fukudome or Fontenot, it would be lefty versus lefty. It's a bad deal when you have Big Derek Lee, out of town. Or rather back home with the flu. It was a short bench is my answer, Frank. Whether it's a good answer or not, that's my only answer.
Yeah, but they also had Guzman, who's been pitching lights out. They didn't use him last night.
I know. Thanks, Frank.
Okay.
All right, buddy. Appreciate it. It's not easy when you have 4 guys on the bench and you're missing one of your bullpen guys. Hey, Jay Zawoski. When are we going to talk about the Blackhawks, Jay?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
Tomorrow. Now go have another beer. Don't bother me.
Eddie Olczyk, they asked him in the Sun-Times, Lazy J. Banks, if you were the commissioner of the NHL, he's got some great ideas. We'll bounce these around tomorrow. Cubs, Sox, and Blackhawks. Murph saying thanks for listening. Thanks for calling.